Who's wrong and who's wronger? In this corner, followed by millions, James the Exploding Unicorn Breakwell. And in that corner, ignored by millions, Steve Dash Rinko Levers.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wrong and Wronger, and I'm Herb, and I'm here on a cruise ship. I got my cabana hat working. I was feeling a little stressed out with life, and Eleanor says to me, "Why don't you take a cruise?" And I said, "I don't like going out on the ocean. My bursitis acts up, my sciatica gets going." And she said, "Take your phone. When you're feeling that way, just watch Wrong and Wronger." And I said, "That's not a bad idea, because I like that Olivas kid. He's a good kid. If our daughter would have brought him home, I'd have said, 'You got my blessing,' but Breakwell, that guy, he looks like a shyster. You just can't trust guys that are like him. But you know that. He makes your trick knee go off before you have it replaced. But you are here, so I know you enjoy Olivas. You're watching Wrong and Wronger. And James, man, you got to feel great about sitting here and you're staring with all of that youthful enthusiasm at the screen, just drinking in Steve Olivas. How are you doing today, man?
You know what? I was just sitting here thinking to myself, why do I always dread this? This isn't so bad. And then you started talking, and I was like, oh, this is why. Because of you.
Well, each of us are half of the duo that makes up the show where Olivas wins the majority of the weeks. And James, I don't know what happened last. Oh, no, that's right. I won. I'm now ahead 17 weeks to 16.
It doesn't even make sense. How can queen-size beds be bigger than king-size beds or better? Who would vote for that? Nobody would vote for that. Clearly you have some army of bots out there voting. Also, I was slightly distracted by a boat in Wisconsin, so I didn't push the poll as hard as I should have. Because if it had been broadcast to the masses, surely they would have come to my aid. So you were assisted by Miller Lite this weekend, so take your win where you can.
Oh, mother's milk. Nice. Nice. And just judging by the dissertation you sent this morning, that thank God we don't still use Gregorian monks to scribe those tomes, or it would have been 27 years for them to get that thing etched out. But it sounds like he had a good time this weekend.
Yeah, I wrote the best part about having Lola drive is I sat there with a laptop, with no hangover whatsoever, pounding that thing out so you could insult it this morning. I had to get it here in time. Otherwise, what will Steve talk about in our broadcast?
Nice. Well, this is the podcast where we argue about things that don't matter to anybody but are impassionate by both of us. I don't know if that sentence was grammatically or syntactically correct, but James, we're going to argue about what could be the mother of all arguments. And what is it we're going to take on today?
This is a rough one. It's who is better, James or Steve?
This was suggested by one of our listeners. And I think, what do they have against us, James, that they throw this kind of thing into our lap? Because they know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be really insulting when everybody votes for the random again. We're both going to be losers here. But hopefully you'll be more of a loser than me. That's really all I want.
So who's better, James or Steve? And we always start with business. And part of the business at hand is complimenting each other, which is about to go to the wayside. But James, what do you got for me right on the front end?
I would like to compliment you last week for looking the best you've ever looked in the hat that I bought you. Although now that I think about it, did I already compliment my hat? I might have already used this one. I would like to compliment you for exhausting my compliments. You ran me out of them. There was a finite number of things, and I've hit them all. So thank you for being so limited in scope that I can only compliment so many things. If you were a better person, I might exhaust myself trying to think of better things, but you're just right there. All compact. You are what you are, so congratulations to you on being that.
And what Amar is good, right?
Sure. I think that's where I was going with that.
Well, I want to compliment you, James, on using all the words in the English language
in
that last email blast that you put out. I used to think there's no way James can outdo this one and still have a life during the daytime, but I was wrong. Every week you prove that you are one more step into the diabolical, to where you're not only using up all the words, but you're putting them in some kind of order that makes sense and still coming up with a way to entertain. It's sort of like being able to type a sentence that has all 26 letters, like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Like you figured out how to use every word that's ever been invented and put them into a story. Congrats. Hats off to you.
I every day I rack my brains for new words I can stick in there just to confuse you. I'm like, I'm going to educate Steve today. If nothing else, I'm going to teach him a word he didn't know before. That's what I'm here for. That's why we're friends.
Sure. Hatred, exhaustion,
yes,
despair,
words.
Disdain, all those kinds of things that come up weekly and wrong and wronger. Well, are there any other points of business that need to be discussed, James, other than we still, another week with no thumbs downs? So
Whoa.
I'm very happy.
Well, yeah, but I don't think enough people saw the view. I think if we get our normal number of viewers, I think the thumbs down are inevitable. We get thumbs down for everything. So the bear video that I posted, which was only visible to people on the email list. So there were people who are already on board with it. Even my bear video got 4 thumbs down. Like, it's impossible to order those thumbs down. Yeah, it's like, why are you still here? Why did you take the whole ride if you're going to thumbs down it? But they did, Steve. They did.
What did you get any negative feedback in the What could you not like about that video?
I actually did not even enable comments. I was going to give people the chance.
All right. So Drunken James doesn't quite have the self-control to deal with negative comments, so you didn't even want to go into that minefield.
I didn't. I was like, you know what? This is. I cannot let the random people on the internet spoil my moment. So it was just there. You could observe it passively if you want. You could downvote if you want, but you couldn't say something mean. It was a shrine to the bareness. So, all right, let's go ahead and argue about why I'm better. I'm ready to go on this one. Flip that coin.
Well, now let's at least take 10 seconds on this one. Do we want to flip the coin, or do we want to just sort of set it up? Like, not cook it completely, but at least decide what the sides will be without any random chance. What do you think's going to be better? Arguing?
I think we got to stay true to ourselves. I think we got to randomize it. We will let fate decide if we argue for ourselves or if we have to, avoid throwing up and argue for the other person.
Oh, man, that's going to be a quick
high
argument.
Stakes.
Just a lot of staring blankly into the screen.
All right. Heads I'm arguing for me. Tails, I'm arguing for you.
Oh, dear God. All right. It is up. It actually fell. It's heads. I swear it's heads.
I'm arguing for me. This is amazing.
Yeah. Now, people might think, well, obviously, if you drop it, you can say whatever, but it really came up heads on the floor. So we are arguing for ourselves.
That's good, because if it had come up for you, I was going to have to fake my own death. Like right here, I was just going to fall over, tip the screen, and I was going to crawl away.
I went through that moment of hesitation, like I'm going to have James argue for me, and then quit when he's done. But anyway, all right.
That would have been pure evil. But luckily, I'm arguing for me. So let's just go through this here. And I've got to argue for how great I am without sounding like a monster. And I don't know if I can do it. But let's just look at numbers here. Let's just look at numbers across the board. We've got how many Twitter followers do you have these days, Steve? Give me a number.
22,600.
22,600. How many Twitter followers do I have?
1.2.
1.2 what?
North of that.
1.2 million.
1.2 million. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you needed me to admit that out loud.
I did.
I thought you at least had the hubris to say it yourself. But all right,
I did not. I just shy of 300,000 on Facebook, 120 something on Instagram. I mean, the people have spoken. I mean, this is just in raw numbers with their feet, with the follow button. They have said, hey, we're going to come there for you. I don't know why they're going there for you. I mean, you got 22,000 people. Maybe they're there by accident. I don't know. You've also... I guess you know what? I'm going to be like a politician. I'm not going to lower myself to talking about how bad you are. I'm going to talk about how great I am. Let's do that. Maybe that will make people hate me a little bit less. But let's see here. I've got lots of good things going for me. I mean, my wife likes me, so there's that. So I can't be all bad. I've got 4 pretty cool kids. I do own 2 pigs. I'm 6'2". We all know that adulthood starts at 6 foot even. So I mean, right there.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
You can't. And I think in elections
God.
and presidential elections, the taller person always wins. So there you have it. You got follower count, you got the family, you got height. Case closed, Steve. Case closed.
James, the adage of good things come in small packages certainly resonates here. And I got to ask you, James, you got all of those followers. Why do they vote for me? It's got to be strange for you to have me win more than 50% of the votes. But it can't be anything that involves your character, because if I brought that into the argument, it would look like I'm mudslinging, despite being remarkably accurate. But look, when you bring Steve into your home, you bring cool hats. How many hats does James own? Come on. I'm not sure he has any hats, to be honest with you. That's why he doesn't go outside in the winter. It's cold, man. But I got a hat for every occasion, and you get the cool characters. Like, I can do any character. I can make people laugh and smile, and James just makes people want to back away slowly while keeping your eyes fixed firmly on him, bringing your kids in close. I'm diverse. James is only about the pigs and the kids, and if neither of those existed, James would have nothing. He would lead a life of just sad isolation, which actually is kind of accurate to the way he lives his life now. But I do sports play-by-play. I do the podcasts. I'm on the road doing lectures, doing comedy. I got my psychology practice. I have a marketable skill. Like, what does James bring to the table, really, other than a lot of hair? And when you have to vacuum every day, having Breakwell around, I don't know that you're going to want him in your living room. You gotta vote Steve. Oh, wait a minute. Most of you already do.
So, first of all, the reason people vote for you is my followers are hilarious, and sometimes they just like to watch the world burn, okay? This guy's argument is so bad, we just got to vote for it and just see what happens. And it amuses them greatly. And it started back when we did penalty videos, because let's be honest, nobody wanted to see you do a penalty video. They were horrifying.
The home run.
Me and my kids were hilarious and adorable. People still talk about those fondly. They beg us to bring them back. Just the other day, we were watching a commercial, or we heard a song come on Pandora, I think, and Lola was like, "Where do I know this song from?" I was, "Oh, you guys danced to it." We had this fond memory there of us humiliating ourselves for the enjoyment of the public. It was just incredible. We are here to make people happy. You know how often I get emails thanking me for doing what I do, for just being out there, making their lives a little bit better. And to be honest, I'm a terrible person. Like, I never set out to help anybody, but I help a lot of people by accident. They just have their normal crappy days, and then I am here, no matter what's going on in the news, no matter what's happening in politics, no matter what horrible hat Steve is wearing, I am there just writing down happy jokes day after day after day. If a meteor comes and destroys the earth tomorrow and I'm floating out there in a chunk of rock, and if I have even a little bit of Wi-Fi signal, I'm going to keep tweeting kid jokes to make your last few moments pleasant. That's what I bring to you every single day, without a gap, not a single gap since 2012. That's consistency. And also, I have never done a character. Not one time have I done a character on this podcast. Just think about all the suffering Steve has put you through. A lesser man might have done like a counter character or alternated back and forth, but no, not one time have I even been tempted. I held strong day after day after day. Instead of making up some awful character, I just sit here and glower. And that's me glowering in place for the audience. I represent all of them, their hopes and fears and dreams. And I am here just showing you their discontentment as you go on with yet some other character that came from who knows where, and hopefully will go back there and never, ever come back. And I don't need a hat because I have great hair. So there's that. And I think that's really the crowning argument.
You got great hair everywhere. And James, way to win over the public by starting the argument with "I'm a terrible person." That'll win friends.
I like a little humility, just a little bit.
All right, well, and a little accuracy, too. So you hit both with that swing of the bat. And I'm going to need the enormity of the infinite time and space after the world blows up and you on a rock somewhere just to have enough time to get through one of those emails. So thank God that's going to come at some point. Obviously, I've won this argument, James. Pull out your certainly grown-up Dungeons & Dragons dice and roll those for all the other grown-ups that obviously have their own kit in front of them and see. How can people vote for Steve?
That is a great...
As they already have most of the time.
That is a great argument for why you should vote for me. I do own Dungeons & Dragons ice. I said ice, but I meant dice. But you know what I mean. You saw them if you're watching the video. If you're listening on audio, you're smarter than the rest. You don't have to see Steve's face. But all right, let's go ahead and roll for this. If you want to vote for James being the best, vote for 20. If you want to vote for
20?
20. If you want to vote for Steve being the best, vote for 97. And if you want to throw your vote away, vote for 90.
90. All right. So the numbers are actually lined up in order of awesomeness. We'll call it the Awesosity roll. The order of Awesosity. If you want to vote for James, pick the piddly littlest number you can find. That's 20. And actually the phone kind of blipped right there when he said 20 because it's sort of irrelevant. If you want to throw your vote away, you move up to the second story of the house. You vote for 90. But if you want to sit in the penthouse, that ivory tower with me, Steve, you vote 97. And so it's clear cut. The winner is going to be announced next week, and James is going to be very sad. But until then, this is Steve Olivas, Dr. Steve, speaking for James the Exploding Unicorn Breakwell, saying thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and because he wrote it up in our co-host agreement, I gotta say, two wrongs can make a right. Thank you, everybody.